Hello students, welcome once again to my channel. Now we have a question over here. So quickly I'm going to solve this using two methods in this case. Now we have u squared minus u plus 1 equal to 0, then u to the power 2028 plus 1 over u to the power 2028 would be equal to what? So if you are new here, please like, subscribe, and also hit the notification bell to be notified anytime I post a new video. So I'm going to use two methods in solving this. Now for the first method, we have from the first part we have u squared minus u here plus 1 being equal to 0, right? We have a quadratic formula here, so quickly we have to use the a quadratic formula in solving the quadratic equation. So realize that a is just 1, b is just -1, and then c is just 1, right? So in this case u is just equal to we have negative b squared, and b is just -1, so we have 1 here, and then plus or minus square root of b squared, which is -1, which is 1, and then minus 4ac, 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 1 here is just -4 here, being divided by 2a, which is just 2. So in this case we have 1 plus or minus the square root of -3, right? So we just have square root of -3 is just I. So we have I here, imaginary, divided by 2 in this case. So in this case we have two values of u, right? We have the positive part and the negative part. Now we are going to use any of the roots in solving whatever we're going to solve. So let's use the positive part of the root. Any of the roots you use, you are still going to get the same thing. So we have u equal to 1 plus the square root of 3i divided by 2. Now since we have a complex number, what we can do is to write the whole of u in terms of in a polar form, right? So in that case we have to write it in a polar form, because if we are to write this whole thing in this form, remember u to the power 2028, then which means that we are just going to get something like 1 root I divided by 2 and then to the power 2028, which will be complicated to solve. So what we are going to do is to write it in a polar form, right? We're going to write the whole of u in a polar form. So writing it in a polar form will make it easier for us to solve. So let's say u equal to cos x here plus I sine x here, in this case where we have just like a plus ib. So in this case our a in this case is just 1 over 2, and then b in this case is just root 3 over 2, right? Now from here what we have to do is to find the modulus of the of u, right? So finding the modulus of u is just we having a squared plus b squared, right? So in this case our a squared is just 1 over 2 all squared plus 3 over 2 all squared, and therefore we just have 1 over 4 here plus 3 over 4 here, which is just 4 over 4, and then 4 over 4 is just equal to 1, right? So therefore we can have our modulus being equal to 1 in this case. Now the second thing we also have to do is to find the angle for that one, right? So in finding the angle, or before we are able to write it in a polar form, we have to find an angle whose sine is 1 over 2 and whose cos is 1 over 2 and whose sine is root 3 over 2, right? And therefore we can do that by using their inverse, right? So using the inverse, you realize that if we have cos, because in the first place our u here is just cos s plus I sine x, right? So we have to find a value whose sine is 1 over 2 and whose cos is 1 over 2 and whose sine is root 3 over 2. So quickly we can do that using the inverse. So the inverse of 1 over 2 is just in rad. So doing that one in rad, we just have pi over 3, and then also the inverse of sine here of root 3 over 2 in rad, and then we just have pi over 3 also in this case. So we have pi over 3 in both cases. So therefore our u to the power 2028 can be written as we have cos, remember it is cos x, and then s is the whole of that. So we have pi over 3 plus I sine pi over 3 in this case, right? So that will be our u in this case, right? Now what we are going to do is that we are going to solve this using De Moivre's formula. We are going to use the De Moivre's formula, and from the De Moivre's formula, if we have a complex number, let's say a complex number z equal to r cos s plus I cos, let's use alpha in this case. So realize that z to the power, that is to this power, will just give us r to the power n, and then we have the cos of n that plus I sine n alpha, right? So we can quickly do that, but then before we do that, what is our n alpha? So our n alpha in this case is just our n here in this case is just 2028, and then our alpha in this case is just the pi over 3, right? So 2028 multiplied by pi over 3, 3 goes into self, 1 goes here, we have 676. So in this case we have 676 pi in this case, so that will be n alpha, right? So now since we have everything to be intact, what we can do is to go ahead and then solve. So from here we have u to the power 2028 here being equal to, we have this is r, and we add the modulus to be 1, so just 1 to the power 2028 is still 1 in this case. So from here we have cos n alpha, and n alpha is just 676 pi plus I here, and then sine 676 pi in this case. So that will be the expansion for that. Now from here, so quickly, that's the De Moivre's formula. Now we have 676 pi. 676 is an even number, and even 2 pi, the cos of 2 pi and the sine of 2 pi is just equal to 0. So if it is an even number, which means that u to the power 2028 here is just equal to we have the whole of this equal to 0 plus I sine the whole of that also goes to 0, right? But then cos 0 is 1, and then sine 0 is 0, so everything here goes to 0, and therefore we have equal to 1. So therefore we have u to the power 2028 here is equal to 1 in this case, right? So that is basically the first formula, 2021 equal to that. But then with the question also asks u to the power 1 over u to the power 2028, and then just a reciprocal of that, we have 1 over 1, and therefore it's also equal to 1. So in this case, therefore u to the power 2028 plus 1 over u to the power 2028, remember this is what we are looking for, so we just have 1 plus 1 here, and that will be equal to 2. And that is basically the first method, right? Now let's use another method in solving this and see whether we are going to get the same thing, right? So for the second method, right, for the second method, what I'm going to do is that we have u squared minus u here plus 1 equals to 0, and then u squared minus u plus 1 equals to 0 can be written as u plus 1 here, and then also we can have u squared minus u plus 1, all of that equal to 0, right? Now when we expand the whole of that, we should get u cube here plus 1 here being equal to 0. That is expanding the whole of that. This is what we are going to get. So what we basically did was that when you have u cube or you have the whole of this, remember this is what we are looking at, right? And then multiplying this and that gives us that, right? So what we did was to use another property in order to derive u squared minus u plus 1 in order to get the general formula, which is u cube plus 1 being equal to 0. So if u cube is equal to that, then what we can do is to make u cube the subject. So from here you realize that u cube here is just equal to -1 in this case. So we have u cube here equal to -1 in this case. Now if u cube equals to -1, then from this formula 2028 plus 1 over u to the power 2028, right? Which means that we can write 2020 in terms of 3, right? So we can have 3, and then 3 multiplied by um 676 will just give us 2028 plus 1 over u power cube, then 2028 in this case. So from here, realize that u cube we had from here is -1. So we have -1 to the power 676 here plus so let's continue here. Then we have negative 1 over -1 to the power 676. Also in this case, this is 676, sorry. And then we have from here, -1 raised to the power 676. 676 is an even number, and any number raised to an even number, whether positive or negative, whatever positive or negative the base is, if it is raised to an even number, we are just going to get a positive value, right? So in this case, we have the whole of that being positive, and then 1 over 1 here. So we just have 1 plus 1 here, which is just equal to 2. So basically, you can also conclude that u to the power 2 2028 plus 1 over u to the power 2028 here is just equal to 2 in both cases. So realize that we have just in the first method we just have u equal to 2, and then also in the second method we have u the whole of that also equal to 2 in this case. So both method, you can use both one of these method in solving this type of question. Thank you very much for joining me in this session. I hope this session was helpful. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys in another session. If you are new here, please like, subscribe, and also hit the notification bell to be notified anytime we post a new video. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys in another section.